What is going on YouTube? This is Asterus. This is part 2 of the Metal Gear Solid VR missions walkthrough. So in this particular episode, we're going to get stuck in stage 7 for a little while, but eventually we do get past this particular part. It's just kind of within the tone, but basically the concept of it, the main problem with this particular mission is just the infrared sensors that kind of are difficult to detect, and I realize that you don't really have to select the cigarettes. I mean, they're already selected. You can switch to not having them, but then you just wouldn't be able to see the infrared sensor. So basically, it's not. I was thinking that you had to actually press like a button or something to have like the cigarettes kind of work, but it just is a concept that the cigarette smoke was already in the air, so it's pretty dope concept. Kind of get that here, just within the pitch behind it. But just being able to say, basically, just the key to it is just avoiding these infrared sensors. But the thing about it is it wants you to stick to the wall, which it's difficult to kind of do that. I will say it's a lot trickier to do that with the dual shock controls, so you might want to, with these particular missions where the infrareds are going to be on, I would definitely probably recommend to just switch off like the dual shock. You don't actually have to use it throughout the whole game, so it's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying that it's just a lot trickier to stick to the wall with like the actual 3D controls. It is kind of within the pitch. I just would recommend the D-pad. It's just a lot easier. But the thing about it here is just the context as far as saying that the game wants you to stick to like the left side of the wall up on this area right here past the guard, and I was trying to get to the right side of the wall to stick to that form of the wall, but the guard sees you there, so you have to learn to stick to both sides of the wall. But it's just kind of the concept. It's a little bit trickier to kind of do that just in the aptness of it, so you may wind up failing this mission like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times just within the pitches behind it, but eventually it gets figured out. It's just kind of the concept that once you learn to stick, it's not so much hard to stick to the wall in like these beginning segments, but just within the tangent, you kind of have limited time to stick to the left side of the wall when the guard's kind of in his blind spot. So this is in the pitch, you have to do that within the timing of it, and it may result in hitting the infrared sensor up there, which fails the mission. So it's just kind of the concept. Just some trial and error there, just within the tone. It's not too terribly annoying, but it's still somewhat of a snag. But yeah, this is a frustrating game. I like the aspect behind it. Some good type stuff here to be able to say it, but it's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying that that's what makes this game throw. And it's pretty similar to Tomb Raider, pretty similar to Crash Team Racing. Just a lot of PlayStation 1 games kind of had that appeal, just having that frustration kind of about it. And kind of has that particular type fare as far as being able to do that. So it's just kind of the concept of me just being able to get past some of these segments here. I mean, because I do suspect that there's probably going to be more than 12 or 13. So I would definitely say if you just fired up some popcorn or something like that, or you just ordered some pizza, just understand this to get comfortable, because there's going to be a lot of this here just within the tone behind it. Just some good type aspects to be able to kick back throughout most of the course of this night. Now, you could say, well, acid roots, are you going to do the weapons run? I'd say probably not. I mean, there's actually 300 or maybe even 400 missions in this game. I know there's more than 300, but I don't feel like doing the advanced missions. I just would have to say that those would probably be some ones that would probably piss me off. But some of these, if you saw the intro that was in part 0, a lot of that type of stuff that's within that particular game, you have to understand here that there's some pitches about this game where you're going to be using like rocket launchers and things like that, actual items where you have to actually do like these training sequences just in the tone behind it. So, I mean, just understand. I mean, there are going to be playthroughs of this throughout YouTube. I mean, this is a fairly kind of obscure game here, just in the pitch behind them. There's still enough to be able to say that you probably could find some other folks. But I'm definitely going to do the sneaking missions, supposing I can beat them. I mean, I feel like for the most part, there's a lot of PlayStation games I've been attempting to beat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat Tomb Raider. I will eventually return to that game at some stage. Originally, it was going to be this month. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to get back to that game. And I was able to complete Crash Team Racing, but I am hoping I can at least beat this game, because I wasn't able to beat Jackie Chan's Stunt Master. I briefly thought not too long ago about returning to that game. I'm just not as full bound sure if I would want to, because I know I would just get to that stage with like the boxes swinging on like the ropes. I know it would probably damage a lot of my health, and I just would get pissed off. I mean, I would say if I could get past that, but it's kind of constantly just questioning that. But so just being able to say, so I figured it out how to stick to the wall here, but I kind of thought the infrared sensor was going to hit me, even though it wasn't. So it's just kind of the concept, but yeah, it's just trial and error here. It's just kind of the concept. So just get comfortable. It's going to be frustrating. It's just kind of the concept. A lot of monotony. You should know the drill by now. Just when I did things like Donkey Kong Country 3, that's kind of a running, not so much running gag, but just kind of the concept of just continued, yeah, I would pretty much say pretty much running gag within the aspect. This ongoing meme that kind of has within the aspect is some of this tedium here, this of dinner stupidity. But I'm just going to keep these in just like I do with Super Mario World. So it's going to be kind of the concept. You're just going to see the tedium with it. I figure it's just kind of the aspect. These have some, I mean, I realize if I wind up playing this particular stage for like 3 or 4 or 5 parts, but I don't know, maybe I would do that. This makes me question later what some of these ones are going to wind up being like. But yeah, this should keep you on the edge of your seat. I just realized about this particular game. I don't know why this game is so secretive. I mean, I just look after. I remember this game from back in the day, but it just kind of felt like it slipped between the cracks, and then less and less people kind of remembered about it, which is just kind of the tone. There's definitely this is like an expansion pack here. It's just kind of the concept, just being able to say this is like some good bonus content to kind of get within those tones. It's a good type fare. This is very creative too on top of that. I just would have to say the concept behind it, normally when you'd think of like a spin-off of like a game, it would just be something, but like the Metal Gear series was always pretty creative with doing that sort of stuff. Like there's one that came out for like the PlayStation 2 and Xbox that was called like Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, which I don't remember what that game was about. I never messed with that. I do actually have like Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty around here somewhere, but I didn't really mess with that game that much. I need to, but it's just within the concept that I do remember there being like a bonus package on like Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, but I don't know what particularly made that game within the aspect. I don't know if it just had more things in like the story mode. I don't know if it did VR missions or whatever like this game, but it was some clever stuff here just being able to get it. Because you look after it, they could have just had like 3 or 5 or 7 bonus more missions, like 2 or 3 more boss characters, just an expansion of like the original Metal Gear Solid, but they actually just did something entirely new. It's pretty dope. It's like the concept. More things need to do that. That's the sort of stuff like the Mario series needs to do, or Zelda, something like that. I would love to get like one of these type of games for like Zelda Link to the Past, that they could have like just some bonus dungeons, or like some sort of like Link having like a dream or something. And yeah, look here, folks. That's the kind of pay attention. I would not just run for the goal, because you will fail it if the infrared sensor is down around this time. So you can't really stick to the walls here, which I was trying to do within those aspects. But it's not too difficult. You just have to know where the bar is. So right now it's almost on the ground, so you just have to wait for it to go up, and then you can do it. But it's a stupid part, just because it kind of assumes that you're just going to run past it and fail. But yeah, I was trying to stick to the wall just to make absolutely sure, because I didn't want to do this part of the mission again. I was pretty certain that I didn't want to, but there's really not enough room against the wall, because probably by the time you unstick from the wall there, you'd probably get caught by like the infrared beam. So it's just, you're just supposed to run past it, just make sure that it's just up in the air or something. But kind of happens to be the thing. But yeah, like I was saying, just an expansion pack on like Zelda Link to the Past. Now you could say, would you want that for any other Zelda game? I'd say probably not. I mean, I think, probably one of my favorite of those type of games, the Zelda ones, would probably be A Link to the Past. That's just a classic within the pitch behind it. So just something, if Link were to have like a dream or something, and just like some bonus missions with the same engine as that particular game, just 2 or 3 extra dungeons, some of that type area, to something that he has a dream about Zelda, something like that, just within tone, just being able to do it. But this would be some good type area, just a few extra boss fights. But I don't know, I mean, most game developers are very kind of not liberal with doing expansion packs and things. Once a game is beaten, most game developers do not want to return to those worlds that they created. This is kind of like, it's definitely like a one and done. I would definitely have to say this within the tone. That's what makes this game so special, just because the concept is just like bonus kind of extra material for like the world that was already there. This just kind of shows like the Solid Snake dude, just stuff that he went through to become the wicked badass that he particularly was, which is a pretty good pitch. I mean, you look after it, he's kind of a no-nonsense type dude. If you've seen some of the games that he's been in, he does, like, he has some game he can actually pick up. He actually succeeds in getting like 2 or 3 starlets within the tone. Like that Meryl chick falls for him, and the Asian chick that kind of is like the briefing girl falls for him, and some of these type chicks within the game, they actually do fall for Snake within those pitches. So it's just kind of within the tone that he's pretty slick talk within the pitch behind it. But he handles, like, he is a mercenary just within the pitch behind it, especially if you pay attention to the ones from like the old Nintendo, some of those type fares within the pitch. But Just some good stuff. But yeah, just seeing about this particular game, just the concept, and I realized that it gets a lot tougher. I realized I don't want to say I'm doing the easy mode here, but this is the one that's probably the aspect of, at least the one that might piss you off the least. So, but yeah, you're supposed to use the cardboard box here. It's not this terribly difficult. It's just kind of the concept that it just takes more time because the cameras are pretty apt within this. It's just kind of the concept that you do have to kind of pay attention, but as long as you follow the radar, it's not that difficult. So, just have to kind of say and stuff, but it just kind of happens to be a thing. Kind of running out of stuff to talk about here, but yeah, I just would have to say there is going to be some more episodes of this. We'll just have to see how much further. I didn't realize that you could save within this game. I thought that saving kind of happened automatically, so that's why it seems like I just started with mission. I mean, luckily you can do the first 15 missions without having to beat any of them. Just kind of within the tone, so by the time you see the next episode, I'll have beaten all 9 of the first missions. I did at missions 7, 8, and 9 in this episode, but then I saved. I saved at the end of this episode, and then you just have to see that, basically because I did the first 6 in episode 1, I'll just jet past that because I already did it, just in the pitch behind it. So, just being able to say, so it'll be interesting to see what missions 10, 11, 12, some of these type of ones are going to be like, because it's just going to be the concept of this wondering how we're going to deal with some of these, just the actual fare behind it. But I think this game is fun enough. I just question, hopefully the frustration factor maintains the fun vibe as opposed to just go into something that's going to make you want to chuck a controller or something like that. Just get to the point of just, getting gritty about it and just angry. So right now, I mean, I admit that Mission 7 kind of ticked me off. I was still being relatively patient with it. Just kind of the concept as far as saying that. You just have to understand that, it's just kind of concept that standard video game type fare video games have to be irritating, so. But yeah, this is fun irritating. This is within the pitch. So yeah, just like I said, have pizza, snacks nearby, some pitches like that. If you order pizza in episode 0, it's just kind of within the pitch. It's probably not here yet, but I'd say probably by episode 3 or 4, you'll be munching as far as those pitches can happen. Is picking up the pace as this game hits the ground running. But it's probably going to be frustration just to predict further episodes. Probably going to be some stuff where these things kind of happen, but just stay tuned for that as far as this first going to happen. Just stick with this playlist of some goodies here. I would probably say, considering that we're in episode 3 and we're not even at mission 10, this will probably be like a 20-25 episode playthrough, something like that. Something around that relative range. But some good type fares, so we'll get towards it. Just stay tuned for more of these type fares and goodies within that pitch and some good type stuff. Subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching, and of course, have a wonderful night here, folks. Stay tuned.